Greetings. My name is Letitia Hensley, and I'm the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools Director of Family and Community Engagement. We are excited that you are joining us today and know you will gain great insight from this session. At the conclusion of today's session, please provide feedback so that we can continue to support you with amazing sessions that will be provided throughout the year. Now, without further ado, we'll turn it over to our presenters.
Good afternoon, CMS families. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Back to School Basics Everything Open House series for high school families. If you could please take a moment today to sign in to today's session, this will allow us to stay connected with you for any future Family Academy sessions and make sure that these sessions are meeting your needs as we continue through the school year. The bit.ly link is displayed on the screen, bit.ly/Family Academy sign-in, or it is pinned within our Q&A section. If you're in need of translation support on today's call, please select Captions in the top right-hand corner, then select Show Live Captions from the drop-down menu. From there, please select your spoken language of need. Once again, if you need translation support, please select Captions, Show Live Captions, and select your spoken language of need from the drop-down. And we are so glad you are here to engage with us today, and we look forward to hearing from you and making sure that all of your questions are answered. If you could have any questions during the call today, please select the Q&A button at the top of your screen. And from there, you'll see the text box. Please feel free to ask any questions and we'll ensure that they are met within our Q&A time. We also love to engage with you, hear from you. If you have any aha moments, wows, or anything that stands out to you, please feel free to like and engage with us. We love hearing from you and making sure that what we're saying is meeting your needs. And we're so glad that you are part of our CMS community. On our screen, you can engage a little bit more with the mission and vision of our school district. We operate around 4 district goals: an improvement of our literacy within grades K-12, improving literacy skills for grades 3-8, strengthening our math performance, and ensuring that all of our students are post-grad ready to be employed, enlisted, or engaged. We're so glad that you're here today, and if you have any questions or want to learn more about the direction of Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, please visit the CMS website where you can find additional articles and videos that really outlines some of these different processes and goals within our district. And at this time, I am excited to introduce our 2 spotlight principals that will be guiding us through today's session. Today we have Principal Cook from West Charlotte High School and Principal LeGrand from Rocky River High School, who will be making sure that we are prepared as we enter into our open house series. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Principal LeGrand to get us going.
Well, good afternoon. I am thrilled to have this opportunity to share some insights on how to navigate the high school years. Not only as a principal, but as a parent. I have had 2 students, 2 of my own kids, who graduated from CMS. So I got to see it from a principal perspective as well as a parent perspective. So I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to share a little bit about how to navigate during these last 4 years of schooling. First, on the screen, you see the CMS academic calendar. This calendar will provide you with important dates with regard to when students will be in school, when students will have a half day of school, when the academic quarter will end, the grading period will end. So it's a great calendar to have when you get ready to plan your fall break vacation or your winter break vacation, spring break vacation, or summer vacation. So this year at a glance is a calendar that often our parents request and they like to access. You can access this calendar by going to the CMS homepage, clicking on families, and going down to calendars. You'll see the academic calendar there, but it's a great way for you to know kind of when your child will be in school and not. The next slide shows a little bit and talks a little bit about transportation. There are two things that as a principal, as a school, we focus on those first couple of days. One, making sure that kids get into school safely and have lunch. Two, we want to make sure that we know by the end of the day or midday how every student's getting home that day. And so transportation is a key component to ensuring that your child have a great experience that first week of high school and throughout high school. So if you have not already requested transportation, I'm talking specifically about a bus. If you have not done that yet, I want to strongly encourage you to go ahead and fill out the ridership form. It's linked here, but you can also access it through the CMS homepage. It takes about 2 weeks for transportation to process your request and get a stop within an existing route. So just know that once you fill it out, it won't be immediate. It will take a couple of weeks to get a stop. So you want to go ahead and do that now if you haven't done that already. Secondly, high school students have the opportunity to drive to school. Mostly your juniors and seniors old enough who have their license will drive to school. Every school requires a parking pass. That way we know the cars that are parked on campus, and we can keep track of that. In order to park on campus, you do have to get that parking pass, and it is a fee for that. But students have to show proof of their license and proof of insurance to be sure that they are eligible to have that parking pass. Most schools have information about how to obtain a parking pass on their website. So I would encourage you to go to your child's website and school's website and get information about the parking pass. I do want to note that those first couple of weeks of school, pack your patience, because a lot of students will be car riders, and so it will take longer to sort of get through the process of dropping off and picking up your son or daughter. So pack your patience, pack your snack, and just be prepared for the long lines of traffic those first couple of weeks of school. Speaking of transportation, if you have not already downloaded, here comes the bus app. As a parent, you should download it, have your kid download it on their mobile device or your mobile device so that you will receive real-time information as to the location of your child's bus. Once you download the app, you will enter the district code and select the bus that you want to track. In cases like we've seen this week where it's raining every morning, you don't want to send your child out and stand in the rain and the bus is running late. This will help you sort of keep track of when the bus will arrive so that you can send your child out in a timely fashion to catch the bus. But this app is great for knowing if your child's bus is running late coming from school, that you're waiting on them to go to another event or appointment or something. It's just a great app to have. So please encourage your child as well as yourself to download that. Here comes the bus app, so you'll know where your child's bus is. On the next slide, you'll see, I would bookmark this page. This page includes some very useful links. Starting first with the parent-student handbook. It is still being revised, so if you go to the link and click on that, it may say I'm still being revised, but it should be up and running by next week. I'm sure if your child is in high school, every year they've come home with several sheets of paper, several forms that you have to complete and send back to the school. Well, nothing's different in high school. We still request some of those same forms. For example, if your child has an issue and can't participate in PE, there's a form for that. If your child is taking medication at school, we need to know that it has to be authorized. There's a form for that. technology form is required for every student and parent to sign off on in order for them to get a Chromebook. So in the student forms link, you will see all of those forms. This year, we're moving to Infinite Campus so that you can complete those forms online. But just so you know what forms that you're going to have to complete, this is a great way to sort of get a head start on preparing the information that you will have to enter online in the student form section. Student Code of Conduct, this is the expectation that we have for students while they're in school. Our primary goal is to ensure that we have a safe, orderly environment where learning can take place. And so we've outlined some expectations for students. Also included in here are the consequences for students who violate those policies, those expectations. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. Parents and students are going to be asked to acknowledge review of this. So we'll be going over as a high school this in detail with our students throughout that first week so they understand what the expectations are. Most students will meet the expectation that they know what's expected of them. So we'll spend time going through this and ensuring that they are up to speed on the Student Code of Conduct. That last link on that previous page, if you go back one, is the Parent Bill of Rights. This was laid out by the North Carolina General Assembly. Your rights as a parent when it comes to special education. It includes a link for due process. It kind of gives you some steps to take if you've got a concern, where you start with the teacher, elevate it to the school principal, and then to the central office contact. So it lays out some very important information for you in terms of parents and your rights as a parent there. So this is a great link to bookmark so that you can refer to it throughout your child's high school career. Next, we want to talk about technology. So if you've been watching the news lately, you may have seen that the North Carolina General Assembly have passed a law now where cell phones, technology must be turned off and put away during instructional time. Now, technically, it doesn't go into effect until January, but most schools, all CMS schools, are starting now with implementing some guidelines when it comes to technology. I would encourage you to reach out to your school so that you fully understand what the school has created in terms of how they're going to implement this law within their schools. So make sure your child is aware of the school's policy as well, so that they are not in violation of this law. The law requires that all technology is turned off and put away during instructional time. No exception to that. Well, there is an exception. If there's a medical need or if there's an emergency, then authorization can be given for the student to use the cell phone. But all cell phones, all technology must be turned off and put away during instructional time. Students who violate that policy will be given a consequence in accordance to the Student Code of Conduct. This is very important because I know students, if they're like my kids, they are tied and married to their cell phone. So it's important that they understand what the expectations are around cell phones. Okay, next we want to talk about attendance. Attendance, there's a direct correlation between a student's attendance and how well they do in a class. It's important that students are in school every day. We find that once students get to the high school level, their attendance is not as great as it was when they were in elementary or middle school. There's no sort of required attendance number in terms of if a student misses 11 or more days, they fail a class. That's no longer in effect, but we want to ensure that students are in school each and every day, so that they can do well in that course that they're in. There is an incentive for students in terms of attendance. If students are in good standing with their attendance, they have the opportunity to exempt their final exam, but they must meet the attendance and grade requirement to be eligible for that. So there is an incentive for students to have great attendance while in high school. If your son or daughter is going to be out, we ask that you report that to the school. On every school's homepage, there's a link for you to report an absence. You can upload doctor's notes, visits to colleges, universities, whatever reason your student is absent. And they're absent, whether it's excused or unexcused, both count the same. But we like for you to report anytime your child is not going to be in school that day. So these are a few things that I was responsible for in terms of preparing you for navigating your high school career. So I'm going to turn it over to Principal Cook at this time.
Thank you, Principal LeGrand. So again, we welcome you to this informational session. I'm going to start off by speaking to you a little bit about our assessment windows. As you can see here in high school, there are a lot of testing windows to be considered, but every student will not be taking every one of these tests that are listed. So I would just, as you move through your open houses and begin to make initial contact with your schools, I would just find out the information that relates to you specifically based upon your student's grade level. So the first windows of testing that we're going to talk about are the end of course tests in high school. EOC testing is valid for Math 1, Math 3, and Biology. So if your student is in one of those courses, they are required to take a state end of course test. The testing window for the fall semester is January 14th through January 21st, which of course is at the end of the first semester. And then if you have the class for second semester, then it's June 4th through June 10th. If your child is scheduled in a year-long version of one of these courses, then their testing window would fall into that June 4th through June 10th window because they would be in that particular class all school year. We also have what are called Master Review Predictive Assessments. You may have heard them. MVPA is how we speak to them. Those are predictive assessments that CMS implemented 2 years ago, and they are used to determine or to provide schools with predictive data around end of course testing. So this year, there is only going to be one round of MVPAs for each of your end of course tests. That first window is going to be December 1st through December 5th. And again, these will be provided for only for end of course tests or end of course classes, which would be Math 1, Math 3, and Biology. So if you have a student that is in either of those three courses, they will have to take MVPAs at some point between December 1st and 5th, or between April 23rd and 30th, and then they would take their respective EOC course test, their EOC in the other window provided initially, which is January 14th through 21, June 4th through 10. We have an access testing window. This is for our multilingual learners. It is used to determine the level of English language acquisition by our multi-language learners. And that testing window spans from January through March. So each school creates their own testing window. It can be shorter or longer depending on the amount of students that are required to be tested. So that also is something that you would get information from the school directly if that applies to you. Advanced placement testing, which is the artist most commonly known as AP. Though that testing window is from May 4th through May 22nd. And so if your student is enrolled in an AP test, then they will be testing between May 4th and May 22nd. For the pre-ACT, which is given to students who are in the 10th grade, 10th graders take the pre-ACT October 21st is when the testing date for CMS this year. So October 21st, we will be taking our pre-ACT, and that is predictive data for the ACT, which is given in 11th grade, and that is going to be given between the window of March 4th and March 6th. If you have a 10th grader, they will be taking the PSAT, and that window is October 6th through October 31st. Pre-PSAT, and then there's a PSAT. So that has various grade ranges, but October 6th through October 31st is that window. If you have any questions, you need to just contact your school testing coordinator, and they can provide you with the specifics related to your school building. Next, I'm going to talk about the role of the counselor. If this is your first year in high school, then this role is, as we all know, is very important. It becomes increasingly important once our students get to high school. The counselors provide academic guidance. They help your students choose classes, stay on track for graduation, and plan for college and career paths. As we know, once we get to high school, staying on track for graduation is important because you have to complete the requirements as outlined by the state of North Carolina to graduate. It is not something that can be determined at the school level. The school does not have the capacity to allow for any sort of provisions. All of this is mandated by the state of North Carolina once they are in high school. And so the counselor is very important. The role of the counselor is very important as it relates to ensuring that your student stays on track academically. Also for college and career planning, they support students with applications, scholarships, resumes, and future opportunities, even if they are not related to college. Because as we all know in CMS, our goal is to ensure that all of our graduates are enrolled, enlisted, or employed. And so the counselors are available to support in either of those beyond high school opportunities. Social and emotional support. We lean on our school counselors to provide a safe space to talk, help with conflict resolution, and to connect our students to resources when needed. So for many, this is kind of like the typical idea of what a counselor is. Historically, they were called guidance counselors. Now the appropriate term is just school counselor. And the reason for that is because they are in place to help with all of these things. And so it goes beyond guidance. They are here to help plan, to help support, and just to help ensure that your students are full wraparound levels of support. Athletics. So in high school, of course, athletics are a big, big thing. If you have a student who is interested in participating in athletics in high school, some things that need to be considered. Students must complete a physical exam before tryouts. So if your student is going to try out for a team or some sort of athletic endeavor in high school, they have to have a physical exam on file. Additionally, in high school, if you have a 10th through 12th grader, then there is a required GPA of 2.0. If your student is in 9th grade, then and they are trying to play a sport that begins in the first semester, they will be eligible to begin playing that sport. However, if after the first semester, if they do not have a 2.0 GPA, then they will no longer be eligible to continue that sport into the spring semester, even if they have started this playing in the fall. So it's very important for 9th graders to remember that in order to continue on playing, you have to have a 2.0 at the end of the first semester. The athletic director is the one who pulls all of that information and provides that to coaches to then allow for them to determine who is able to continue on. In the fall, if you are a 10th, 11th, or 12th graders, so for those sports going on now, football, if they're going to try out for basketball, track, volleyball, soccer, all of these things that are happening in the fall, or the beginning of the winter sports, your student will have to have had a 2.0 or greater in the spring semester. So in the semester that we just completed in June, if your scholar did not have a 2.0 during that semester, then they will not be eligible to play any fall or winter sports. However, if they get a 2.0 or greater in the fall, and the coaches that are coaching those winter sports allow for it, then they would then begin to be able to play after that information is released and verified by the district and the state. Also, if you need more information, you can always reach out directly to your school, to the school, the coaches, or the athletic director. If you have forms that you need to submit, all of these forms are submitted in Dragonfly. Typically, you have to have a proof of address, the lease or your deed, a utility bill, that form, that physical exam that we spoke about earlier, and then any other documents that may be required. All of that will be uploaded into the Dragonfly app. And again, your school coaches or athletic directors will be able to provide you more information about Dragonfly, the forms, team schedules, and any additional requirements. Next, we're going to talk about school lunch. So if you are not new to CMS, then you should be familiar with the PayPAMS app. The PayPAMS system allows for you to log on and electronically add money to your student's account. Now, if you're like me, I have a rising senior at Palisades, and this PayPAMS, he spends it like it's an Instacart account. And so for those of you who have a child like mine, there is an option for you to auto renew. It allows for you to select an amount that it will automatically put into their account once they get to a certain balance. So if you are someone who doesn't want to have to go in and out, and continue to add monies, you can select the auto renew option. Also, another great thing that I love about PayPAMS, that is not the case when I have given my child actual cash in the past, is when you have a PayPAMS account, it allows for you to log in and actually see what your child has been purchasing with the money in their account. So if you want to ensure that they are purchasing a nutritious lunch and not just going to the snack line and buying the cookie and the Cheetos, then this is also another way for you to track that as well. When students get to school, they will be provided their lunch number. They keep the same lunch number, and typically it's provided in some form of a card. But beginning, I think 2 years ago, we started to move away from the paper copy as much. And there's now a QR code that will be available at your child's school for them to scan. And once they scan that QR code, it will allow for them to retrieve their lunch number. I would suggest getting that number and saving it in a phone, in a document on their school issue technology. And as a parent, you probably want to save it in your phone as well, in case your student forgets the number. They have easy access to it. I used to always put it on a piece of tape and then tape it down into my son's backpack, so that if he forgot, he could just reference the number inside of his backpack. So that is something that you should be looking for as they begin their first weeks of school, is when that information is generally pushed out. So you should already have heard by now. I know Principal LeGrand touched on this earlier. We have transitioned from Power School to Infinite Campus. So we want to ensure that you all are logging into Infinite Campus. This portal is what you will use now to access your students' academic information. It also gives you the option to complete your annual CMS forms online. And it is available in both English and Spanish. So, and if you need assistance with this, please don't hesitate to reach out directly to your student's school, and they can help walk you through the steps that are required to make sure that you have access. You can have access on the web. And then there's also an app access. The information is at your fingertips. Once you log in, you will have access to announcements, assignments, attendance, grades, schedules, all of the things. So we do want to ensure that every parent is doing what they need to do to ensure they have access, because of course we want you all engaged in all the things happening with your student, with the school. And if there does come a time when you have questions or concerns, this is kind of like your initial gateway into that information in case you need to reach out to the school, the teacher, or find out additional information or gain some understanding around what's happening with your students' academics. This is going to be a vital tool for you to do those things. And so we do advise you to go ahead and try to get your access early. I would say that you would probably want to do this prior to open house. That way, when you go to open house, if you know that you have issues, you are able to get some live support from your individual school, someone in the individual school building during open house. This is just information about the mobile app. Just like with PowerSchool, you can have the app downloaded to your phone, and then that way you are able to access that information through the app. If you don't have access to a computer at any given time, this will provide you with the same information as you would have been able to get in the program on a desktop. And so now we've got Parent Square. Many of you are probably already you know about Parent Square, and we kind of acclimated ourselves to it last year. It was new, but now if you did not get any Parent Square messages, or if you're new to CMS, or if anything has changed, we do advise that you go into your Parent Square and make sure everything is updated, because a lot of information is pushed out through Parent Square. District information, school-based information, teachers use it to push out particular class information. So these are the directions for just ensuring that you have access to Parent Square. And again, I would advise that you try to ensure that your access is valid and up and running prior to open house, because that way, when you go to open house, if you do require assistance, there will be folks there to help you and ensure that you are ready to go day one, as opposed to the school year starting and you're not having access to it and you've missed some important communication and you're having to then follow up and backtrack. So again, Parent Square, Infinite Campus, go ahead and log into those platforms now, so that you can ensure that you are ready to go when school starts, and also so that you can determine whether or not you will require additional assistance when you go to open house. Or even if you're not able to go to open house, you can reach out to the school directly prior to the opening of school.
Thank you so much to Principal LeGrand and Principal Cook for sharing such valuable information. At this time, we're going to transition to one of our district specialists, Mr. Rafael Ramirez, who's going to be sharing information about study abroad opportunities within Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools.
Hello, good afternoon. So great to be with you all today, and I'm so excited to share a little bit of the opportunities we have for our high school students. First of all, I want to explain to you a little bit what we do. What does this study abroad office do? We provide information online and in face-to-face meetings with families about different opportunities, different routes our students can go to study abroad. We collaborate with the programs, schools, administrators, and counselors to make sure that our students are getting robust programs and help them to evaluate their classes and see which credits can be added to their high school credits. We coordinate events like the study abroad parent information sessions to try to help the families understand where to look for, support families, students, and counselors through the study abroad experience. It is important to emphasize that we are providing the support so they know what to do, and most importantly, to have the best experience ever. Encourage and facilitate opportunities for our students to pursue part of the high school education in international countries. So having given the students a chance and opportunity to experience part of their high school education abroad, it's important. Something we want to make sure and clarify: we do not place students abroad. We support and connecting the families with different programs that are going to guide them through the process of finding where to study and where to go. Next slide, please. There are two different programs, two different types of study abroad programs. The first one is long-term. It is a semester or a whole academic year program. Most of the times it's the host family and they attend an international high school. There are programs that help families enroll their students in those high schools for a semester or academic year. There's a gap year student in which the student lives in a host family and work as an intern and do community service. This gap year, it's the year between the senior and they start college. And we're gonna go deeper a little bit later on this presentation. When is the best time for students to go on this kind of programs? Short term, these are great opportunities for summer in which they go to any different country to study a language, to learn about electronics, technology, health, environmental issues. There are a lot of things that they can learn, and these last from 3 to 8 weeks, and these take place during the summer, especially. Thank you. Next slide. This is a little bit of like a guideline for students to know what are the steps for going abroad. So number one, start planning. We cannot emphasize enough how important it is to start planning, and I appreciate the opportunity they gave us to share this with you. Sometimes families ask us, when should I start planning? As the sooner the better, because it takes time. You have to look into different programs. You have to look into where is my school, my son right now. What are the credits they are taking? How many credits do they need to take in order to graduate on time? How much money do we need to save in order for us to be able to afford this kind of programs? So that's why I started like planning right now. It is important. Talk to your parents, talk to the families. You can talk to me. I can sit with you. I can explain to you the different programs. Meet with your high school counselor. I was listening to Principal Cook. The counselor has a very important role in your kid's life. So talk to your counselor. See if your son or daughter is able, so your child is able to go, because they need to be able to graduate whenever they come back. Apply, make sure you have the visa, make sure to check which visas you need to have. Your passport is going to be valid during the time you're going to be out. So there are a lot of little things that you also need to plan. So that guide is going to be there with you. And there is a folder that has a lot more information that you can access at your own time. Next slide, please. Now, where do we find the programs? Here's where you need to start clicking. There are different ways to find programs for your kids to study abroad. So there are certified programs by the Council of Standard of Education International Travel. There are two programs that you can try to research a little bit, analyze, click, read the information, and see if any of those programs apply to your child. Then the U.S. Department state programs. These are federal funded, and you might be able to get some scholarships, not a full scholarship, but you might be able to get access to certain funds to help the afford the trip, but also those are approved by the Department of State. U.S. study abroad. This one is very good if you want to narrow it down into specific areas, like your kid is loves everything about technology, computer. So it helps you narrow it down to what do you want your kid to be exposed to. Go overseas is similar to USA abroad, study abroad, and these programs are gonna help. Are gonna try to fit the needs of your son. That's why your child. You need to find the right fit. So that's why I highly recommend you to start planning with time. Click on the different programs, see which one fits your needs. What do you need? You need some paperwork prior to travel. The first one is the interest form. We need to have that form sent to us so we can start connecting with the family, see what the student needs to, if we can guide the student and the family to the right program. So we need to have this form first, and that way we can provide the support they need. Once they have chosen the program, they know where they want to go, they know what they want to do, we have to fill out the pre-departure transcript review form. This is the form the school counselor needs to have on file, because we're going to revisit which credits the student need to take in order to graduate. Something important, we cannot guarantee that all the classes, all the credits they earn studying abroad are going to be transferable to the credits here in the US. So that is why we highly recommend sit with your counselor, see what your kid is, and start planning. So here are some of the policies when it comes to graduation requirements. Which credits do I need to take? Which credits I can actually take abroad? So that those policies are going to help you understand what's the best move for my family. And once again, important information and safety measures. The U.S. student abroad has a website that provides important information about travel advisory, CDC advisories, all those things that could help you understand U.S. study abroad. Also, in that platform has some advice on insurance. What kind of insurance do you need to have? What should you do in case of an emergency? Provide guidelines to families in case an emergency happens. And once again, here we are to support you and try to make sure you have a plan to support your child. Next slide. These are important resources. Now, I know sometimes we're thinking like, how can I send my son? How can I send my daughter out to travel, to study abroad? This is an experience, once in a lifetime experience. And these resources are gonna help you understand why to study abroad. Why could help your child be more independent? What are the benefits of it? So these resources are for you to study and to review with your family. Next, please. And these are questions we have been collecting throughout the years. And the reason we put it here is because some of the questions are, if my child is going to go study abroad, are they going to lose their spot? Yes. Do you need to unenroll your student in order to study abroad? When they come back, you need to re-enroll your student so they can come back to the school. Can they take online classes in CMS as they are abroad? No, because you already unenrolled your student. When is the best time? The best grade to go abroad is 10th, because you don't really take a lot of heavy tests, and also you will have a lot of time for them to build some credits. So whenever they are out for a year, or a semester, they are not going to be behind, and they're going to be able to graduate on time. It is not recommended to study abroad in your senior year, because this could impact your graduation. If you're not enrolled in the second semester of your senior year, it's very likely that you're not going to be able to graduate. So that's why I was talking about the gap year. That is another option, and we can help you navigate that and study abroad in your gap year if you're already a senior. And there are some other questions that you would like. I had recommended to go in and try to learn a little bit more. That is my sorry, guy. That is my contact information. There are some other resources that you have available for you all. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Raphael, for sharing such valuable information about this opportunity for our high school students and families. Families, just to close us out today before we get to your questions, a few reminders of some great questions to ask your child's teacher or school as you attend the open house. Connect with the building to find out who your child's assigned counselor is. Ask what a typical day in any of the courses that you might be unsure about are. Ask about any support services that might be available, such as tutoring, counseling, or mental health supports. Find out how families will be kept updated and informed of any activities, homework, or just school-wide updates. This is where that Parent Square and Infinite Campus are key. Find out how families can continue to be involved and how you can best support at home as your child is gaining that independence in high school. And a few just quick tips and notes. It's always great to bring a notebook, write down any of the answers to those questions, any logins or links that you might need throughout the school year. It's always great to be organized and have it in that one consolidated place. Follow up with your school's teacher or counselors if after open house there's anything that you're unsure of or you have any additional questions as the year continues. Make sure that your child is at open house with you. As high schoolers, we know that we are making sure that they are independent and prepared for those next steps in life, and having them with you as you navigate open house and meet the teachers and is a great starting point. And make sure you stay connected with your school, because we are here to serve as partners with you and support your children within their education. If you have any remaining questions, please feel free to add them into the Q&A. And at this time, we'll have some of our principal presenters, Spotlight principals, share the answers for the questions that have already been asked. So the first of which is, whose responsibility is it to schedule meetings with the counselor? Do the counselors proactively reach out to students to ensure that they're ready for college prep and applications? Or is this a responsibility of the families and the students to initiate?
I think that this is different depending on which high school you attend. Some schools do have a process for appointment sign up, where they have some system where the students sign up and they meet with their counselors as needed. And then some schools have systems where the counselors have a process where they schedule appointments with every single student on their caseload and they meet with them directly. So I think that that is an amazing question to ask when you attend open house, so that you can find out what that looks like specifically at the student where your child is enrolled.
Thank you. The next question that we have is, if I have a senior and there's remaining amounts on the Pay PAMS account at the end of the year, is there a process to receive a refund?
That is a question that I don't have the answer to. But if once you are or if you have a senior that has already graduated, then I would suggest maybe reaching out to child nutrition, or because I don't know the answer to that, because again, my child spent every single penny in his pay PAMS account.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Great advice. The final question that we have is, how should we best go about navigating enrollment and student placement if there's a bit of a delay in receiving any information or confirmation?
So at every high school, there is a data manager, a registrar. I would start with that person first. He or she will have access to the enrollment, and so they could inform you where you are in that process. So I would start there with the data manager, uh, registrar at each school with trying to get an update on enrollment.
Thank you. Families, at this time, we have answered all of the Q&A questions. A special thank you to our two spotlight principals, Principal Cook and Principal LeGrand, and a special thank you to our CMS district specialist, Rafael Ramirez, for sharing such valuable information on the study abroad opportunities that are available to our CMS students, as well as the best practices for open house as we begin to navigate for the school year. I hope that everyone has a safe and successful 25-26 school year. We are so glad you're a part of our CMS community, and we hope that you have a great day. Thank you.